The next case is the Nissan Motors. Nissan is one of the automobile manufacturing company in Japan also. And Nissan Motors' intensive investment in electric vehicle business is a case of the WO strategy. So they try to capture the opportunities by overcoming the weaknesses instead of focusing on the strengths. Nissan overcame its weaknesses in hybrid cars by focusing on the electric vehicle sector. Okay, if you look at the results of the SWOT analysis, the opportunities are strengthening environmental and emission regulations. Okay, that could be an opportunity to some companies and could be the threats to the others. But in case of the Nissan, who has the technical skills in the green energies, and they could see this as the opportunities. And the rapid economic development, emerging economies are one of the opportunities to the Nissan as well. And in terms of the threats to the Nissan, reduced demand for domestic automobiles. So in the domestic automobile industry in Japan, there was a lot of the competition between the existing members because the demands from the customers are decreasing, and the intensified domestic price competition among the existing members. Yeah, that might be natural, because in case the demand of the customers for the domestic automobiles are decreasing, and then that would result in the intensified competition of the domestic prices, and then the decrease in car purchasing powers. Okay, that's also the threat. So they have lots of the threats in the domestic market, as the case of the Kikoman. And there's also some opportunities in overseas. If you see the strengths of the Nissan, their technical skills become more important in product development, and their technical skills are very strong, and they have invested continuously in emerging countries, and that's also good news to them. And they have a strong partnership with Renault, and their competitive advantages in purchasing as well. And if you look at the weaknesses, they were late in entry into the hybrid cars compared to the Toyota and Honda, two of the major competitors. So Nissan was late. And this Nissan was depending on the North American business highly. So that's one of the weaknesses. So in case of the Nissan, they developed the strategies based on the tools. So instead of the other companies, they focus on the opportunities and the weaknesses. So one of the weaknesses is the delay in entering hybrid cars compared to the Toyota and Honda. So instead of focusing on the hybrid car business, so they chose to enter the electric vehicle businesses. So they invested in early stage in the electric vehicle business, and they found huge opportunities in electric vehicle businesses, because a lot of the governments in all over the world are strengthening environmental and emission regulations, and there are also rapid expansions in rapid economic growth in the emerging economies. So they focus on the electric vehicles. So their strategy to focus on the electric vehicles come from their weaknesses, that is, delay in entering the hybrid cars. And they try to capture the opportunities opening a new market for the electric vehicles. So that's how Nissan developed in choosing W strategies. Okay. Let's have a look at the final example of the TOWS mix. That's the WT strategy. Overcoming the weaknesses facing the external threats. That's the Nestle's entry into new market for premium coffees. Nestle ventured into the Nespresso capsule business, overcoming the threat of the market maturity and high dependence on the instant coffee business. So Nestle, before venturing into the Nespresso capsule business, Nestle was one of the giant players in the instant coffee business. So they were very strong in instant coffee business, but according to their industry analysis, the instant coffee business is not growing very fast, but there are another big markets for the coffees. That's an espresso businesses. So brewing the coffee instantly and to have the better quality and better taste of the coffee. So if we just go to the cafe to enjoy the coffee, the baristas at the cafe are making the coffee instantly. So they just brew the coffee, they brew the espresso coffee. It's not an instant coffee. So the quality of the coffee and the taste of the coffee is better of the espresso coffee. In those huge market of the espresso coffee, Nestle didn't have any significant presence at all. So they decided to enter the the espresso coffee industries, not from the traditional way of opening their businesses, cafes, or providing some espresso coffee beans. Instead, they developed their own capsule of the espresso coffee. So they name it as the Nespresso capsule, and they created and entered into new market of the Nespresso capsule businesses. And the decision to enter this new market is based on the TOWS analysis, TOWS mix. That's WT strategy. Let's look at the result of the SWOT analysis in case of the Nestle. Rapid economic development in emerging economies, yes. Like all the other companies of the Coca-Cola, Kikkoman, and the Nissan, they also found the rapid economic development in the emerging economies as one of the opportunities to the company of the Nestle. And global consumer growth is also the opportunity to the Nestle. And there is a tendency among the customers that returning to home meal, home coffee. So there's a trend to enjoy the best taste of the coffee at home instead of going outside, instead of going to the cafe on the street. So in that case, there is a huge opportunities for a newcomer like the Nestle to capture such an opportunities with the Nespresso coffee the capsule machines. There are also threats to the business of the Nestle. Maturity of the instant coffee market, where they are taking the dominant position. So Nestle is the market leader in the instant coffee market, but unfortunately that market is not growing anymore. It's matured, and that's one of the threats to the market leader like Nestle, and intensifies domestic price competition. Yes, in instant coffee market it's mature, and then price competition is intensified domestically. And also there is a strong competition with canned coffee. Canned coffee is one of the sub-segment of the businesses in the instant coffees. So with the ingredients of the instant coffee, they make the canned coffees. So in the canned coffee business, there was a strong competition. So it's not a good news to the dominant player like Nestle, and increase the preference for tea drinks. So traditionally, a lot of people enjoying the coffee may change their taste, and they go to the tea drinks instead of the coffees. So that's also one of the threats to the market dominant players like the Nestle's. Nestle has the strengths in a couple of areas. One is the broad portfolio of the products. So Nestle is producing lots of different products, lots of different beverage products, and they have lots of the the portfolios of the products inside the company, and they also have the excellent bean processing and packaging technologies, which was from the instant coffee businesses. And also they are very good at securing the high quality coffee raw materials, coffee beans. When manufacturing the instant coffees, they procured the best of the quality coffees from all over the world, from the coffee field in all over the world. And then they may leverage such a great, they may leverage the strengths of procuring high quality coffee, and also processing and packaging excellent beans in a new businesses of making the Nespresso capsules. Okay, so traditional strengths in the instant coffees may be converted or leveraged into the new businesses in the Nespressos. And they also identified some of the weaknesses as the public dependence on instant coffee, and then undifferentiated brand images, and blame by the NGOs, non-government organizations, and blah blah blah. And according to the those SWOT analysis, Nestle chose WT strategy. That means overcoming the weaknesses, overcoming the threats of the external factors to overcome the weaknesses. One of their biggest weaknesses is that high dependence on instant coffee businesses. Even though the instant coffee was very is big enough, and they are the leader and taking the dominant market position in instant coffee businesses, they found they have no presence in the espresso coffee businesses. So facing the threats of a lot of negative business environment in the instant coffee markets, so they try to overcome those weaknesses of little presence or the weak presence in the espresso markets. So they ventured into the new market of the Nespresso capsule businesses in pioneering a new market for the premium coffees. So that's the strategy of the Nespresso. Okay, let me summarize today's class. Okay, through a lot of the steps I have developed in building the business strategies, I covered lots of the topics in building the business strategy, and SWOT analysis is a little bit different from the analysis I have covered so far. And SWOT analysis and also drawing the strategy from the toast mix could be done in between the 3C analysis and marketing mix. 3C analysis is the customer analysis, competitor analysis, and the company analysis. So those are all the external and internal factors. And from those analyses, and then we categorize the external factors and internal factors, and we may draw some the implications from those external and internal factors. And we can categorize a lot of good news and bad news of the external and internal factors into 4 different categories. Opportunities, which is the external factors, which is good news, which is external factors implying a good news to our company. And the second category is the threats, which is external factors, the implication of that external factors might be a bad news to a company. And strengths, which is the internal factor, which may be positively affecting the businesses of ours. And then finally, the weaknesses. Weaknesses are the internal factors negatively affecting the businesses. Okay, from those 4 different analysis of those categories, we may draw the mixture of the TOES analysis, leveraging the strengths to capture the opportunities, and then ST strategy, leveraging the strengths to avoid the threats, and then the third WO strategy, and the overcoming the weaknesses in capturing the opportunities, and finally WT strategy is the overcoming weaknesses to avoid the threats. And I also illustrate each one of the examples of pursuing the 4 different strategies. So in case of the Coca-Cola, they chose the SO strategy. So they captured huge opportunities in the emerging markets, leveraging their strong brands. One of their strongest strengths is of the brand names. And in case of the Kikkoman, they chose the ST strategy. So they were very strong in manufacturing the soybean sauce, and facing the threats of the threats in the domestic soybean sauce market, they ventured into the overseas market, leveraging their strengths and to avoid the threats in their domestic markets. And in case of the Nissan, they entered into the electric vehicles because they were very weak in entering the hybrid car business markets compared to the Toyota or the Honda. And they saw a lot of big opportunities in the electric vehicle markets. So that's how they entered the electric vehicle markets. And then finally, in case of the Nespresso, they chose the WT strategy. In facing a lot of the challenges in the maturing the instant coffee market, they try to avoid such threats in the instant coffee markets by entering into new espresso capsule businesses to overcoming their weak presence in the instant coffee markets. And once we developed such the distinct strategy based on the TOES strategy, we may also develop the detailed marketing mix according to the strategy we chose. So we may choose we may set up our marketing strategies in each of the 4 different categories. in product strategy, in product areas, in pricings, and in channel and placement, and finally in promotions. Okay, so that's the end of today's class, and today we covered the SWOT and TOS analysis, and I think that those concepts covered today might be useful in supplementing all the key concepts I have already covered in developing the business strategies throughout 5-step processes. Okay, thank you very much. And in my next class, we will totally change the topics. And now the building the strategy course is over. And now, right now, the digital transformation is a big, important issue nowadays. So I will try to talk about how to rebuild the business strategies, specifically in the digital transformation era. In the era of the digital transformation, how do we set our strategies? What do we have to consider in building the business strategies? And also, the second topic I will talk in my next class is what are the key capabilities of the talented person in the 4th industrial revolutions. So it's also related to building the strategy. So I want to have a discussion about those required capabilities of the talented person in the 4th industrial revolutions as well. Okay, thank you very much, and hope to see you next time. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Bye.